Hi guys, how's everybody doing? How's my rock star readers doing? I've been looking at AR and I've been looking at all the tests you've been taking and all the great grades, and you're just racking up those points on AR, and I am so proud of you. Still keeping up with your flowers that you earned, guys. So keep reading every day. That's the most important thing you can be doing. Swainwright's got another book for us today by my favorite author. Who do you think that is? Yeah. Eve Bunting. This one's called Dandelions. Okay, I'll try to zoom in and let you see. This is a very shiny cover, so it's getting a little bit of glare from the lights, but you will see a family riding on a covered wagon, and it's being pulled by two oxen, guys. What does that tell you? What kind of clues can we get from this cover? Yeah, it was way back in the olden days. Let's read the back. You know, Miss Wainwright always tells my friends, get a little taste of the book by reading the little summary or synopsis on the back. This one says, eager to start a new life in a new land, Zoe and her family journey west to the Nebraska Territory in the 1800s. That's a long time ago, guys. This is 2020, so that's like 1800 to 1900 would be 100 years. And from 1900 to 2000 would be another 100 years. So that's 200 years. And then from 2000 to 2020 would be 20 more years. So this is about 220 years ago, how things were 220 years ago. When they arrive at their claim, you know what a claim is? Well, back in the 1800s, you could claim some land, like they would give land to people who were willing to come into this wilderness territory where there was nothing and build your house by hand, and they would give you land, like acres and acres of land. So it's really kind of a good deal. But when they get there, they see that nothing distinguishes it. Ooh, that's another big word, distinguishes it. That means makes it different from the other. From the miles and miles of surrounding prairie, like flat grasslands. Even after they build their soddy, that was a kind of house, guys, that was built from sod, big, like chunks of dirt. The home can't be seen from any distance. Zoe has never seen Papa so happy or Mama so sad. But when she takes a trip to the small prairie town with Papa, Zoe sees something that might make a difference to their new soddy and to Mama's life too. We're going to read to find out, what does Zoe find that makes her mom, it just changes her life. She said her mom is sad. Papa's happy, probably because he's on an adventure. Guys like adventures, and he's got all this new land, and he's probably got great, great, great plans for it. Mama might be sad because it's a brand new life. She might just be stuck there with no friends, and she might be wishing she was back home or in a different time. Can any of us relate to that? Like, I'm kind of wishing I was back in my classroom. Like, I kind of wish that every day. So we're just going to read and find out. This is a great story, guys. I hope you listen carefully, because you might also find a lesson, central message, or a theme in this book. It's called Dandelions, and it's written by Eve Bunting. Now, we know Ronald Himmler illustrated the other two books we read by Eve Bunting, and this one is illustrated by Greg Shedd. I think they both do a fabulous job of illustrating her books and stories. We came to Nebraska Territory in the spring. Our oxen, Brownie and Blackie, pulled the wagon, and our cow, Moo, was tied on behind. It was a long way from my grandparents' home in Illinois. A long, long way. Papa laughed and sang. Look at it, Emma, he said to Mama. Miles and miles of free land. But it's so lonely, Mama said. We won't be lonely, Papa promised. We have each other and the girls, and in the fall there will be the new baby. His voice sounded almost holy. A new baby in a new land. My little sister Rebecca put her mouth close to my ear. Where are the trees, Zoe? We'll come to some, I said. We did, but not many. That's what just the blue skies and flat prairie land looks like, guys. You can just see for miles and miles, can't you? Day after day, we trundled along, our wagon wheels making their own tracks through the tall grass. See how the grass closes behind us? Mama asked. It's as if we'd never even been. We cooked our meals outside the wagon and slept on Mama's quilt spread on the ground. Papa told us the names of the stars and about the moon, how it rose and set, and how the moon and the stars were the same ones that shone over Grandma and Grandpa's house, the very ones we used to see through our bedroom window. When he told us that, I cried a little, but I didn't let Rebecca see. The sound of the wind in the grass was like the sound of the rivers we had known back home. Day and night, the sound was in our ears. Sometimes we came to real rivers, and when we did, we washed ourselves and we topped up our water kegs. Sometimes a river was easy to cross and sometimes hard, with Brownie and Blackie so frightened as they swam and us holding on to them and to the wagon too. Sometimes we even had to cross on a ferry pulled by ropes. It had been weeks since we started our journey. 12 miles a day if we were lucky. One day we even did 17 miles. Then, on a morning when the roar of the grass seemed quieter, Papa jumped down from the wagon and shouted, "We're here!" It looked no different from any of the land we'd crossed already. "How do you know this is ours?" I asked. Papa showed me wooden signs with our name, Bolton, on them. He pulled one from the ground and waved it around. "See? My claim stake. I planted it here when I came last spring." He held the sign high and raised his face to the sky. "We're here," he called again. I thought maybe this time he was talking to God. There's their stake. You can see it has their name on it. He looks happy, doesn't he? I will never forget the way Mama looked as she got down from the wagon and stood in the knee-high grass. She shaded her eyes. This is where we are to live our lives?" she asked Papa, and her voice was as still as the land around us. "There is no water." Papa smiled. "I told you, we'll have to sink a well. The water is below. All we need is a pick and a shovel and those we brought." "Couldn't we live beside the river?" Rebecca asked. I liked it by the river." Her lips quivered. "All that land is taken, Becca, but we'll do fine here. You'll see." He put a hand on Mama's shoulder. "After the well is sunk, we'll put in the crops. It's almost past seeding time, and then we'll start on the house." He slipped his arm down so it circled her waist. "Those neighbors I visited, the Svenssons, they are just a 3-hour ride farther on. They will advise us, and I'm going to borrow their plow. We will go there before we settle." I can't even imagine. Can you go into just land and no house and none of that stuff that we all have today? And just starting from scratch, guys, those were some courageous people, don't you think? I think they were very courageous. We started for the Swensons the very next morning. It was hard to see their house. It was so much like the empty land around it. I think we would have missed it if Papa hadn't known exactly where he was going. I don't know how he did know, but Papa is smart. Mrs. Swenson came running towards us, and Papa stopped the wagon so Mama could get down. She and Mrs. Swenson met and hugged and cried. Does Mama know her already? I whispered to Papa. No, but they are happy to see each other. It has been a long time since either one of them has seen another woman. He sounded sad, but Papa is never sad for long. It will be different soon. Other settlers will come. The ones that will live by the river? Rebecca asked. Those and others. It will be crowded. Already there is the town I told you about. It's only a day's ride from here. There will be many towns. I looked around. It was hard to imagine. Come see our house, Mrs. Swenson called. It was made of sods, chunks like bricks cut from the ground, and it had one door and one window that Mr. Swenson had bought for $1.25 in town. He kept touching the window as if he couldn't believe it was theirs. The house was called a soddy. In it was a chunk stove they had brought with them from Minnesota, a bed, a table, and benches. They also had 5 boys and a pig that they kept in a pit and a canary that they kept in a cage. Becca and I liked the pig and the canary. The Swensons shared their dinner with us. Mama admired the beautiful tablecloth that was spread on the table. Her fingers traced the flowers. Roses, she said. Roses, she said. I honestly think I just swallowed that little fruit fly. Y'all, it like flew by my face. Did y'all see it? That was crazy. Oh my gosh. Maybe I didn't. Oh no. That was disturbing. Stupid little fruit flies. I think they're plant flies. They came from all these house plants I brought in here. Okay. We're just going to go on with the book. Roses, she said. Remember the way they smell? I remember, Mrs. Swenson said. Bits of earth kept falling from the roof as we ate, and Mrs. Swenson kept picking them off the table. Twice, black beetles fell too. You get used to it, she said. I'm kind of really able to relate to that right now after that little fruit fly incident. Once, a snake this big dropped. One of the boys spread his arms wide and leered at Rebecca and me. I guess we were supposed to faint. We didn't. The canary sang a little song, and we all turned to look at it. I miss the songbirds, Mrs. Swenson said. There are so few here. Mr. Swenson got me the canary. Its song is sweet, Mama said. So sweet. I think it was tears that made her eyes shine. And here's a picture of their little house with just their table and their bed and that window. They're so proud of having that window. And I would too. Can you imagine being in a house with no windows and you couldn't see outside? Ooh, Miss Wainwright couldn't stand that. We stayed over that night, Mama and Papa sleeping on the floor inside the soddy, and all of us children outside. Slept outside? What do you think about that? Are you girls afraid of mice? The middle boy asked. There are millions of them. They'll run over you. They'll probably nest in your hair. Oh, Rebecca and I like mice, I told him. We pointed out the stars and told the boys their names. Castor and Pollux and Leo the lion to the east. But they laughed their horrible hooting laughs and said we were making it up. Only people and animals had names, they said. We left early the next morning, the plow and the wagon, and our water kegs refilled. Mr. Swinson gave Papa a tree branch to use as a ridgepole for our house and 2 forked tree limbs from the river that would help hold the sod on our roof. He and Papa talked about how it would be done, and Mr. Swinson said he'd come lend a hand. Papa said that he would be obliged. He said that he had 3 strong helpers of his own, too. He meant us, and he sounded so proud I felt we could do anything. Good neighbors, he told Mama as we rattled along. He and Rebecca and I walked beside the wagon because it was so heavy with the plow and the wood and Mama's baby that was getting bigger inside of her. Will our house be just like theirs? Mama asked. Papa glanced at her sideways, then nodded. I'll get us a window and a canary too, he promised. Oh, same page. Papa said the first thing we must do was make slits in the ground and plant corn. That way we would have food for us and the animals for the coming winter. Then we started on the well. We dug a long way down. It was days before we found water. My gosh, we almost dug ourselves a hole all the way to China, Papa boomed. To China? Truly? Rebecca asked, and Papa laughed and drew up a bucket of cloudy water. He let the specks of dirt in it settle so we could all have a drink. In the next weeks, we cleared the land of hidden rocks and turned the earth and planted the rest of the seed we'd brought from home. Don't you see? Papa asked Mama one night. I don't think he knew I was listening. I could never have made a life for us in Illinois. It will be good here. It was as if he was pleading with her. And I felt sorry for him, though I wasn't sure why. Can you imagine having to dig down into the ground until you found water? I don't know about that. When the house was up at last, Papa gave thanks for our snug soddy, for the baby that was to come, and for our safe journey. Mare's tail clouds waved in the sky, and the grass sang around us. I'd never seen Papa so happy, or Mama so sad. I knew she missed our grandparents' house in Illinois, where she had lived all her life, where we'd lived too, until Papa decided to move west. That house had walls covered with pretty paper and a cupboard with painted china plates inside. Mama didn't say she was remembering that, but I knew. When we'd done our chores and finished our lessons, Rebecca and I always went to play outside. Don't get lost, Mama would whisper. We're only going to Pet Moo, we'd tell her, or to pretend in our rock pile. We'd saved every rock from the field, and the pile could be anything, our very own mountain or castle or fort. Sometimes we'd see her watching us from inside the door, and I'd think, Mama worries over nothing. It was true that the soddy did disappear almost as soon as you stepped away from it, turning into just another hump in the ground. It's like a prairie dog's burrow, Mama said. I bet prairie dogs like their burrows, I told her, and Papa smiled. That's my Zoe girl. Mama would stand for hours looking at the curve where grass and sky met. Always nothing, she said. Always the sameness. I was glad when she spoke, even to herself. It was her silence that scared me. Sometimes I felt she had gone away and I couldn't find her. It was late summer now and scorching hot from red sunrise to red sunset. Our supplies were running low. Mama had a birthday, and we used the last of the flour to make Johnny cakes. They were the best I'd ever tasted. One day, Papa said, Mama and I have talked things over. I must take the wagon into town and stock up. Zoe will come with me. Rebecca and Mama will come as far as the Swensons. They can have a nice visit there till we get back. But I want to go to town too, Rebecca screamed. It's not fair. I don't want to stay with those horrible Swenson boys. Rebecca doesn't scream often, but not going to town was something to scream about. You will come next time, Papa promised. It's too far and too hot for Mama to make that long trip. Miss Swenson understands about babies being born, and Mama will be safe there. Zoe is older, and she can be a help to me. You must be a help to Mama. There was no more to be said. I was very excited, but I tried not to show it because it would make Rebecca feel worse. It took a lot of preparation, but at last we were on our way with Moo tied behind us so she could be milked at the Swensons and so she wouldn't be lonely while we were gone. Our neighbors were glad to see us again. They made a list of things they wanted us to bring back for them. And soon Papa and I were off, our water kegs refilled to the tip top. Matthew, are you sure you can find your way back? Mama called, running heavily after the wagon. Can you mark your trail? With breadcrumbs? Papa asked, smiling. Try not to worry, Emma. We will be fine. He and I were both quiet, knowing she would worry anyway. At last, Papa said, There is a little extra money. We will get something pretty for Mama to mark her birthday. You can help me choose. He spoke some more after that, and to me it seemed he was like Mama talking to himself, though I was there. The heat is bad. I pray Emma can stand it. When the baby comes, it will ease things for her, but there will be hard times, and I pray to God I've done right by her. I didn't dare look at him until I felt him straighten up. He smiled across at me. Well, we will help each other, my Zoe, and we will help her. I promised myself I'd be good. I'd be the best girl in the world. I would never worry Mama. Papa pointed. There it is, he said. The town was lifting itself as if by magic out of the distance. Small to begin with, growing bigger the closer we got. There was a long, muddy street with just one shop that sold soft goods and guns and cigars. There were 2 saloons and a livery stable and even a hotel with a real dining room that had food served painted on a sign in front. I kept saying, "Look, Papa, look." Wagons and mule teams and horses and people filled the street. My eyes rang with the noises and voices and the whinnying and braying of the animals. I bobbed up and down on the wagon bench. Papa and I chose a bottle of scent in Judd's store for Mama. It smelled like the lilac tree in Grandma's yard, and I hoped it would make her happy, not sadder. Papa bought Rebecca and me each a licorice stick. I wanted so badly to keep mine, but I ate it right away. Afterward, I thought I should have saved it for Mama. It could have been a present from me, but it was too late. We slept in the wagon that night under our friendly stars, and the next morning I begged Papa to drive us along Front Street one last time. The town was already noisy, even though it was barely dawn. I saw a man with a dancing monkey. The monkey had a red jacket with a braid on it. I saw a dog with only 3 legs. There'd be so much to tell Mama and Becca when we got home. Papa was just turning the wagon on the far edge of town when I saw something. "Papa! Papa, stop!" I shouted. He whoa to Brownie and Blackie, and we sat for a few seconds just looking. There, on a patch of sandy ground where the grass began, was a yellow mass of dandelions. "Dandelions!" I whispered. "How did they get here?" "Likely they started from some seed brought by chance on a wagon." I put my hands against my face. "Dandelions for Mama!" Papa got the spade and helped me, and we took a lot, roots and all. "Look," I said, "we're bringing a whole dandelion family." Oh, y'all. You know how sometimes we make connections to stories? This reminds me of my granny. She always had the prettiest flowers in her yard, and she always liked to share them. And she would say, "Just dig up a lot, get the roots and all, and you can plant it anywhere, and it'll be just fine." That's such a sweet memory I have. I just made a connection to this story. Papa smiled. I was worried that the heat would kill them before we got home, but Papa used a little of our precious water to wet down some sacking, and we wrapped the plants carefully and laid them in the wagon. My granny used to wrap plants that she would give me in newspaper and wet them down and bring them to me. I miss my granny. Now I was impatient to leave. Why do you think she's impatient to leave? Yeah, because she's excited about getting back to Mama and showing her surprise. The dandelions. And guys, you know what dandelions are? They grow all over the place around here, and they're yellow when they first start growing. And then when they dry out, they turn into those that you blow and you make a wish on. I love those things. All the way to the Swensons, I kept leaning back to check on the dandelions. The sky was a burning blue, and the grass seemed tinged with red fire. "It's so hot already," I moaned. "Oh, what if we lose them, Papa?" "Dandelions are strong," Papa said. "They'll survive." "Like us," I glanced across at him. "Like us," he agreed. It was late afternoon when we got to the Swensons. Mama and Rebecca came running to meet us, and I thought Mama would never stop bugging us. "You're back! You found us," she whispered. "Of course," Papa said, and I smiled to myself. When we had her dandelions planted, we'd be able to see our house from everywhere, our own bright patch of golden yellow. She'd never have to worry about us getting lost again. I'd asked Papa not to tell her about my surprise, and he had decided to keep the scent too till we got home. Rebecca ate her licorice stick on the way. She thought Papa had bought it for her because she had missed the trip to town and she wanted to share with me. But I told her I'd eaten mine and to eat hers and I'd just watch and suffer. Part way along, I whispered the dandelion secret to her and she clapped her hands. Oh, the licorice smell that wafted from her breath. It made my mouth water. As soon as we got home, we gave Mama her scent. She loved it. She dabbed some on Rebecca and me. I watched her carefully. But she didn't seem to be remembering the lilac tree, and I was glad for Papa. I'm sure I didn't sleep at all that night, still holding the dandelion secret, waiting for morning. Late, I felt Papa step carefully over Rebecca and me, and I heard him carry the dandelions onto the roof. He'd promised he would. My nice Papa. The sun wasn't even up when Rebecca and I crept from under our quilts. We had two of Mama's cherished spoons, and we scraped trenches in the hard sod of the roof and set the dandelions in. They drooped, and that worried me. But when we gave them water from the bucket, they looked better. Below us, we could hear Mama and Papa getting out of their bed. There's an animal on the roof again, Mama said, and Rebecca put her hand over her mouth to stop her giggles. Then we heard Mama ask, "Where have the girls gone?" And we scrambled down from the roof and called, "We're here! Come outside, Mama!" Rebecca was jumping up and down. "Surprise!" she yelled. We held Mama's hands and led her a few steps from the soddy. I pointed to the roof. "Look! Happy birthday, Mama!" I'd wanted to see a golden blaze so dazzling it would hurt our eyes. But above us there was only a green stubble with a patch or two of wilted yellow. "They're dandelions," I said, fighting down a rush of disappointment. "You can hardly tell." "They're not very pretty, Zoe," Rebecca said. "I wish they were prettier." "They will be," Papa said quickly. "They'll cover the roof and they'll shout, 'This is home!' But their roots have to take hold first, Becca. It isn't easy being transplanted." "Maybe they'll never bloom," Mama said. "Maybe they'll just die of loneliness." Then she squeezed my hand. "Oh, Zoe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean." "You were such a dear girl to think," I interrupted. "They'll bloom, Mama. They're strong like us." I was almost crying, and I didn't even know why. Mama and Papa were looking at each other. This was about more than dandelions. I could feel it. Then Mama gave a shaky little sigh, like a I call that huffing and puffing. When you do that, I don't know. Mama's worrying me. The sun was rising, red on the line of distance as the four of us stood looking at the roof. I hoped maybe just one dandelion might lift its head for us. But not even one did. Mama put her arm around my shoulder and pulled me close. "Don't expect a miracle, Zoe. It will take time." "Can you wait?" I asked, my voice muffled against her. "I can wait," Mama said. And look at that, guys. You can see those beautiful yellow dandelions all over their roof. I love it. And I just know, even though the author didn't tell us and didn't finish the story with this, I just know that Mama was overjoyed to see those dandelions. I know that it brought her so much joy. Um, and Mama was like the dandelions. Remember when they talked about the dandelions being transplanted? Mama was just like the dandelions. The whole family was. They had been transplanted. They just picked up all their everything that they knew and the roots that they had in Illinois, and they moved all the way across West. And lots of times people still do that today, but they don't move to an empty plot of land where they have to build everything from scratch. So I just think people back then in the 1800s were so courageous and so strong. And they had so much just perseverance to do hard things. And I'm so thankful that they did. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned in this, guys, a lot of lessons in this book. I think one lesson is when you have sad people around you that worry a lot, you have to be the joy. You have to be the encourager. I think that's important. What's another lesson we can learn from this book? Yes. Think of the positive. Look on the bright side. Be positive. You know, there's two kinds of people in the world usually, the people who look at the negative side of something and the people who look at the positive side of something. And I think that I've been both of those kinds of people. Like sometimes I've just encountered a problem and just totally let the negative part of it just overtake me. And it did absolutely no good. I've finally realized that in life, that worrying and being sad absolutely does not change things. And that sometimes, in spite of hard stuff that we go through and difficult situations, just being positive and doing your best and finding those little things that bring the joy are so important, guys. Like right now, we've been transplanted. We've been taken right out of our classrooms and transplanted in our homes, and we're doing school in our homes. And as much as I miss you guys, and that makes me so sad, I am learning every day to find joy in being at home and being able to read these books for you guys and being able to plan lessons and just being grateful for the things that we do have right now, guys. We have so much to be thankful for. And I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you again and read you another book in the future. I hope you're smiling today.